and I are just so incredibly frustrated because we see an immense amount of people wasting their freaking talent, getting wrapped up in stupid bullshit. I said it finally.
Talent, lives, energy, pick
And it's
something, just propagating negativity.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I am a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate. This is your first time here. We are Old Guys Still Rock. It is going to be the best podcast that you've never heard before. On my right, possibly your left, is my good friend and co-host of this show. We're actually in episode number 92 today, but my good friend Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He is located in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. I always have to laugh when I see that. I lived there for on and off for gosh darn probably 17 years. So I know what type of weather that they're having. And since we're old guys, we will talk about that briefly. But buddy, how are you? How's your week? I know you've been fighting the cold lately.
Yeah, so I've been fighting. I am not down with the sickness, I will tell you that. I don't like being sick. I don't do well with it. I struggle with taking time to relax and get rest and things like that. So I'm really struggling with this. But what I will tell you is all the choices that I've made over the last 2 or 3 years to shore up my health and my wellness journey with 75 Hard and paying attention to, my blood tests, paying attention to what things are going into my body. So that way the output then is quality, have been hugely beneficial. Typically when I get a sinus infection and it moves into my chest and things like that, it's a 2 to 3 month tour. I'm on day 8 or 9, 10, something like that. And although I have a little bit of a cough and struggling, it's nothing compared to a couple years ago where I would be just debilitated. And so I can tell you that all the things work. The glutathione shots, the vibration therapy, the light therapy is tremendous. The blue, you see my wife posting about the blue stuff. The blue stuff is tremendous.
The blue tongue, you smurf at.
Yep. So oddly, I'll take a little detour here.
Yeah.
So the blue works hugely beneficial with light therapy. The light therapy actually stimulates and activates it. And after you take the blue and then you put the lights on your chest or on your throat or on your head, you can actually feel it working inside of you. It's super weird.
That is a trip, dude.
It's super weird. So I would tell you to do the research, see if it's something that, you want to do for yourself. But all these things have been hugely beneficial for me. So kind of goes in line with our topic of today.
Mm-hmm.
When negativity happens, right? How do you respond?
Yeah, I think negativity could also, I semi want to be careful what we talk about today just because it's bothering, but I think it does affect, sickness, even though that you're kind of going through a cold type of symptoms of, just being around people in a certain place. But there is a mental aspect of being sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
That breaks down the immune system, that breaks down, keeps us tired, is mentally exhausting. And if maybe we're not sleeping well because we're mentally exhausted, if we're not sleeping well, this culmination of negativity is much more than mental. It actually becomes physical and actually becomes, which then turns into what you just said is if I get too sick, some people are like, I'm checking out, and be debilitated, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. Why I've just been thinking about this. It's just, listen, brother, I'm on my edge. There's people on their edge. I react a little bit differently. You can kind of hear my voice. It's just tired. There's just a lot of talking and different things. And there is a lot of ish that is going on. It seems like it is at full scale. We have the right and the left. Unfortunately, that's the way it is right now. And if you're not on that side, you're on the wrong side. And it doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left. It's just whatever side it is, it's on the wrong. Unfortunately, that creates, in my mind, so I will be interested to our audience is to kind of let us know how you feel about this, is that you can sort of say, well, I'm just not going to pay attention to it. It's engulfing, I feel, right now. It is literally every part of our day. No matter how much you try to stay away from it, it is like this force field that you can't get out of. How do you feel about that?
Well, like I was saying, your inputs affect your outputs. So what you choose to ingest, be it food, be it thoughts, be it the news, be it radio, TV, social media, whatever you put into your body is going to come out somewhere in a positive or negative way. So I completely disagree with you on the fact that you can get away from it. I choose not to participate in politics in my discussions. I choose not to participate in politics in what I put in. If a news article that I'm interested in for some purpose or reason starts heading that direction, I have the ability to click that off. It's my choice because I don't want that to divide my time, my thoughts away from my prize for the day. It goes back to the power list. Is it on your power list to ingest a bunch of garbage and then be derailed from your goal?
Right.
Does it say, if it says that on your power list, then head on out, do that. But if it doesn't say it on your power list, then it's not helping you to get to the prize. You know, when somebody, I have a vast variety of clientele, friends, people I coach, etc., from all genres, all age groups, and all political affiliations. Had a meeting with a gentleman yesterday, and he's like, "So what do you think about all the things that Trump's doing?" I go, let's take the person out of it and let's talk about position. And it changed the game, changed the dynamic of our conversation. Does the position warrant what's going on right now? Does the position really, truly affect anything other than an emotional state in every person that person's interacting with or that position's interacting with? Really, our president has just been a bobblehead doll for the last 250 years. They've really not affected policy. But again, we talked about this. This is a big ship that moves 50 times faster because of the amount of inputs that we get from media and social media. It's moving 50 times faster than it ever has. So 20 years ago, you might have had to wait till the 5 o'clock news to get your news coverage. And then who's to say that that narrative wasn't skewed in some way because it was polished? Well, now it's live, literally live. I mean, they're doing things that are
right.
So it affects you more drastically faster, in my opinion.
I agree with you on that, and I know that disagree with, and that's obviously that's why we're here, right? To have our own opinions and to voice those parts. But I think so how do you break that? I guess there's a question is I know what the answer is, but I want you, so I'm asking you the question is how do you break that? It's like it's on social media, it's on the news, that my friends are talking about it. We have this new big issue that seems to be the talking point, and it's obviously an agenda because if any type of media, you can be blind to it. And I hear what you're saying, but how do you not let it affect you? Because you can't just say, you know what, I guess you can. I'm turning off the world. It's good to have knowledge. You can let it affect you or not. And I hear what you're saying on that. But how are you, when you just had that conversation with that way, how did you take that in teaching others and giving others ideas of like, let's not talk about the person, let's talk about the position? How was that received? What, what was there a little bit of pushback? Well, no, that is important because it is a person, or did you just like, did that person sit back and say, okay, that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it was disarming. And it furthered our conversation to talk, again, based upon position. And really what he wanted was my take on the stock market and how all these things are being affected right now. And my response was the same response as always. What it is be consistent and play the long game. Stop playing short games. Stop playing checkers with people that are playing chess. That's really the bottom line. Is if you need the drama, because that's all this is. So no different than people that watch the news to attach themselves to a particular scenario. So I'm just going to say, so there's a 50 car pileup in Indiana. Two people could watch that news broadcast and take two different routes. The one route is the route that I typically take is, man, that's horrible. I'll pray for those people. God bless their families, and I hope that they can come through in a place of peace for their loss. And then I disconnect. There are other people that would watch that and say, man, that sucks. And I'm going to get on social media and I'm going to start a GoFundMe and I'm going to reach out to these people and I'm going to get involved and I'm going to do all the things and I'm going to attach myself to this as a means to go forward to make me feel better about that I'm making a difference in this world and get engulfed in the drama. And maybe sometimes there's an opportunity to do both. But there are people that literally chase that drama and literally chase that feeling that they get, almost like a drug addict does to get drugs. That drama is addicting. And if that drama is the thing that serves you and is making you feel like you're a whole person in that, you might want to check that. That might be an addiction mentality. There are people that get attached to all kinds of trauma and travesty in the world. The Hawaii thing, the Florida thing, the North Carolina thing, the this thing, the that thing, the Middle East thing. And it's from one thing to another to another to another. And that's all they post about, and that's all they think about, and that's all they get involved with.
So I'm going to probably ruffle some feathers when I say this. We're talking about the subject of negativity and how do you push through it. And you obviously give us a couple good points of how to do that. But do you think that, yes, you can get behind a cause and there's certain causes that you should get around where they're not just, Brent is definitely not discrediting that. I'm not discrediting that. But do you think at times that there's negativity, especially when we go back to this world of media and this major media, not just independents and stuff like that, because I just feel the independents are coming out with more and more understanding of what we're going through, but that the negativity and the drama is pushed out there to distract you from really what's going on.
Oh, 100%.
To keep you in a world of chaotic state, to continue to fight against each other, which causes drama, which causes mental anguish, which causes where you are right now. I mean, not saying that caused you that way, but caused you it's breaking down the body's immune system and being sick, which we really started to get into last week about healthy purposes. you
Mm-hmm.
guys missed that, I would definitely go back and watch episode number 91 and really get into that. I think these are going to coincide together, just a different realm. But do you feel that is like there's almost like a bot, if you may, to create this controversy, and then people are like this and against each other because we're so used to being surrounded by that information, and so now we fight, and that things just spill over. In the meantime, there's something else going on that's more important.
So if I'm the person who sells the drug that makes it all better, what behooves me to not create a situation to where you need that? So, for instance, all these things drive increased anxiety, increased cortisol levels, and increased adrenaline levels. We know for a fact that when you increase stress and cortisol, that people are more easily manipulated. People are taken down and stripped to their core. I believe that I am sick today because I put myself in a stressful environment 2 weeks prior by changing up some of my peptides, some of my regimen, and I deviated from my consistent behavior the 2 weeks prior to that. And so if I'm at an amplified state of cortisol and adrenaline and stress and anxiety, and I'm a pretty healthy individual and it takes me to my knees health wise, what is it doing to those people that aren't paying attention to their food intake, aren't paying attention to what they eat, drink, smoke, don't smoke, take, whatever it is, right? Those people are a lot more likely to get to a point that is down, that is depressed, that is anxiety driven, that is sick, that is more easily manipulated.
Which was very evident during COVID, right?
Correct.
I mean, we were shut in this world. And I think that there's so many different things that are a culmination. It's many more than just the past 4 years of just kind of building up. It's been building up, negative situations. What do you hear about the news anymore? It's just always, what's the 1050 car pileup? What's the COVID? There's massive fires going into South Carolina, which are not really being talked about because there's a bigger issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that I would believe that the South Carolina fires would bring people together. And there's a neighborly, kind of saw that in North Carolina. They saw that the Palestine fires, people coming together, which all that stuff has been brushed away. Let's talk about something that keeps people fighting and keep that negative mindset. And there's actually your neighbors. And what I'm really getting back to, it's your neighbors, your friends, your family are the ones that are suffering all this because we're fighting over, I'm fighting so hard not to swear today. We're fighting over stuff that does not truly affect us. And you could say, well, it does affect us. Does it really? Because we keep getting involved with different things that are out of our control instead of, and when you and I have talked about this so much, why are we fighting with our neighbor who our neighbor has nothing to do with what's going on?
Well, if you're gonna be involved, then get involved. If you're going to keyboard warrior about the Palisades fire, and I stand with this person, I stand with this movement, then go freaking stand.
Yeah.
Go to the Palisades fire, pick up a shovel, help the cleanup effort, help do something. Don't keyboard warrior your way to making yourself feel better about the fact that you're not willing to pick up a shovel. As with everything in life, it's action. We did a whole podcast on action.
go almost a little biblical, which kind of just hit my brain is, faith without works is dead,
dead.
right?
Yep.
And I just, yeah, I'm the guy, and the reason why I go back to this, and you're different from me, and that's why we do this podcast, and we have different stuff of different sides of this. I go down the rabbit hole. I read different things. And to me, it's more wisdom, and I try to look at both sides and see different things to that. I have my beliefs. They're my beliefs. I talk with them to certain people, and the other times I just, I'm neutral, like whatever. I'm in a world that I have to be neutral. I have clients that don't believe the same way I do, and vice versa.
So I got something to say about that. So
Yeah.
the Bible calls us to either be hot or cold, not lukewarm. Okay. So with that, you can either be hot or cold. You can't be neutral. You can't be in the middle. If your clients want to talk about it, then I shouldn't say you need to say, it would behoove you based upon your belief system to say, I have my opinions and I'm ready to talk about those if you are ready to talk about those in an open-minded situation. Otherwise, we choose not to talk about them. And then we can still be friends. That's different than being neutral.
That's fair.
Right? And so in the impetus of being neutral, so that way not to ruffle feathers, are you serving your belief system that you've chosen?
No.
It's a tough road. So no different than I have an American flag hanging behind me. I have an American flag hanging up on the pole out front of my business. Some customers have asked me, why do you have that flag hanging up? It's a country I live in, country I believe in. Good or bad, I choose to stay here. So I should either choose to support it or I should leave. Again, my opinion, but I'm either hot or cold at that point.
Solid statement. And I think that cures a lot of going back to not being able. I think you kind of brought this up in our meeting yesterday is swallowing things, and then swallowing things get to a certain point, right? Which eventually could lead to a lot of negativity because it boils over. And going back to our silo world is like, you can have your opinion, but don't share it with anybody else. Mm-hmm. And, I think that's the easy, like, well, I have my opinion, so we're just going to leave it at that. And there's not any discussion anymore, which really creates negativity at the end, because you're division, because then there's assumption that puts in there. Now we start going into the 4 agreements, right? Be impeccable with your word. Do not be distracted by others trying to distract you from your goals or your aspirations. Don't make assumptions, ask questions, right? And most of all, am I going to be my very best today? Mm-hmm. I did remember something, so that's amazing for being a
good
old
job.
Guy. So anyway, but you do, it's such a, I go back and look at that. That was ingrained as me as a kid. It's like, okay, be a man with the multicolored coats and be, whatever, and really not have an identity. And I think there's a lot of us that listen to this podcast that have been told us to keep quiet and not really have an opinion. I think that you said it right. There is a way to have an opinion, but state it, to not be combative about it, mm-hmm. but actually talk about it and be disarming. Let's talk about it. And
well, it's all choices. It gives people choices to engage or not engage, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. And some of us just want to stay away. There's some of us that are listening to this that just don't want to engage with it. it's not bad conversation. I think there's something that could be learned about other people, why you think that way, and have something like, there's obviously on this episode alone, there's things that I've said that you're like, I really don't agree with you. Do that stuff. It's insight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you're right, but just kidding. So no, but I do think that you're right on there. I think though those are some really good talking points of like, why do you have the flag laying up? I mean, to me, I can't imagine somebody asking me. I'm almost like, why would I not? I live in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you the last couple of weeks, and I don't know what my temperature is, just because, but I feel that there's been times of being pushed in the corner, and I've always come out. My competitive nature gets in my way. Like, why are you questioning what I'm doing? Because I know
like
what
the
I'm
questions.
doing, right? And then I start getting combative with it, and it's not a good trait, bro, at all. And I know it.
Well,
Because there's
see,
better
you
ways
see
to
it as
handle it.
negativity. So we're talking about negativity today. So you see it as negative that somebody asks you a question and they challenge you. But yet we ask every time on this podcast to communicate, tell us what you think, whether good or bad. We ask people to give us their opinion, whether we like it or not. We're inviting conflict into our sphere because we feel that we are equipped to help process that and to stand in the gap, if you will, between the right and the left, and not to be complacent. The middle is not a complacent place. The middle is the opportunity to see it from both sides and talk about it in a way that is positive, fruitful for both, and everybody can still leave with their dignity and respect.
Mm-hmm. You know, I see when you say stuff like that, and maybe I watch, you know, some people are not going to like this person, whatever, and I don't, not a big deal, but it's interesting when you see like a Charlie Kirk interview.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, Charlie Kirk. It's a turning point. He's a very conservative younger guy, and he goes and sits on campuses and has conversations, and he invites people to come out and give their opinions. And they try to do questions to stump him or do some different things, but it's really is, he wants to engage in conversation. Yes, you can have the opinion, but this is why I believe this, and that's exactly what you're saying. So you haven't seen Charlie Kirk before. Again, if you're not conservative on that side, you're probably not going to like some of the things he said, but it's just take away the person.
But do you have to like? Do you have to like what he says to understand that he's trying to drive intellectual stimulation, and likely, I don't know, I've never watched it, but it's likely that he's not trying to convince anybody of anything other than let's talk, let's engage. Let's have fruitful conversation where we both feel valued and validated at the end. We still may not agree. Or you could just, you know, have you ever seen that meme that says, this statement, tell me I'm wrong? Right? It's like a guy sitting in front of a little card table and he's got this sign that says, and everybody uses it to create memes that, you know, let's talk about this and tell me I'm wrong or whatever. I can't remember, but that's the way I envision that, is like, let's have a conversation where at the end of the day, we still are valuing each other in a human way and not feeding negative thoughts about that person. Like, just because they're different than me, I don't want to be around them. I want to escape from them, and I never want to talk about it, and I never want to engage about it. I see people posting about stuff, and it's like, if your opinion really truly mattered, you'd be famous, because people would align with your opinion and people would find value in it. But you're not, You're not engaging to the point where people are finding value. You're jabbing and running, jabbing and running. And maybe this Charlie Kirk guy, again, I've never seen it, but maybe he's famous because he stands in the gap and says, let's talk. Let's engage.
There's both. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely there's some spots where he can look like he's an agitator because he gives his opinion, I think, but that's the point that you're trying to make is you can't be neutral, either hot or cold. This is his belief. This is why he comes out to it. People question him about it, and he gives his facts. And you could disagree or not agree. You can agree or disagree with him. I think this whole point why this came into this subject is that a lot of this stuff, again, going back to the people that are engaged into the media, which most of us are, I would say probably 95%, if not more of us, are engaged in some sort of CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, TikTok, whatever. That is the culture right now, right? The whole premise of this is, which I think Brent is eloquently put out there, is, I'll say this first and go back to, I think a lot of stuff that is out there, especially when you're reposting memes, are all having some guy knowing, could be on the right or the left. I wouldn't be surprised if there are people on the right making these memes that people get agitated and start a war, keyboard warriors, onto these social media channels, onto these news type of things, to keep us constantly finding and sitting back and laughing and watching the bomb that they just threw in the middle of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
What Brent is saying is the longer that we play into that aspect of life, the longer we're going to go ahead and fight this war, but there's really no war to be had.
I fight a war every single day, and that war is driving in traffic.
Right?
Right? We've talked about this before. My wife calls me out all the time. You're going to just let that guy rent that space in your head for free. You wouldn't let anybody rent your rental for free for a month.
Right.
But every time you drive past some jackwagon that's weaving in and out of traffic, who are you to think that it's your job to pull in front of him and slam on your brakes? Who are you to think that you need to flip him off? Who are you that you need to yell at him? Does any of it matter at the end of the day? Is his actions creating negativity and hate in your heart that you have to carry that he doesn't?
So many different things that build into that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just talked about driving cars. We have talked about social media, making assumptions on somebody because of a 30-second conversation causes negativity. There's just a lot of stuff in there. Instead of getting back to, we just talked about a little bit ago, is just asking more questions, sitting down with them, asking their opinions, having a conversation. Sometimes they can be animated. Sometimes they can, just be conversation like you and I are having now.
Mm-hmm. I saw somebody post something, and I'm not going to get in the nuts and bolts of who or what they believe or anything like that, but you can probably formulate your own thoughts after I state this. But they were comparing today and what they're going through politically to being a persecuted Jewish person during the Nazi regime. And I was like, really? You're not Jewish. You're not in Germany. Adolf Hitler's dead. You woke up today in the United States of America and have the ability to choose free will to have your opinion. There is nothing that you can compare in your day that I'm even going to take it one step further. You woke up in the suburbs in a house that's worth over $1 million, posted on a phone that costs you $1,600, went down to your very large kitchen with probably $120,000 worth of granite on the countertops and on the island, had breakfast, didn't have to go kill anything, knock it over the head, process it to eat it. You didn't have to scrape from the bottom of the barrel to get the last bit of oats. There weren't bombs going off around you while you were trying to do all these things. You get in your $100,000 SUV and drive to your job that's paying you $500,000 a year, and you have the gall as a human being, not as a political person on the right or the left, but you just have the gall as a human being to compare your existence to a Jewish person in Nazi Germany. I'm at a loss. I don't know. That is a truckload of negativity that I can't even process.
They're the pandemic.
Well,
Pandemic of
this whole
negativity.
process is a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really need to attach yourself to all that? Is that what makes you feel validated and valued? Did that create any positivity in your day?
I would say that person, I mean, again, I've definitely, I've gotten in debates and angry at different things. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it. Catching yourself and readjusting is probably the best thing that you can do, and refocusing and not getting caught up in the moment. And I know sometimes that's hard because you're trying to make a point, and that's our world is, especially when you're competitive or alpha, you're trying to make a point,
Mm-hmm.
or that point, or there's another point is you have no purpose, or you haven't discovered your purpose of your life. And for that talking point or that meme or that negativity aspect of whatever's going on in the world right now, if that's your purpose for the next 5 minutes, is that going to, we talked about this last week, we're one decision away, right?
Yep.
And that could really catapult that one decision of writing that negative thing. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could. That one decision of like, okay, this is going to be my purpose. I have somebody that I know. I mean, I wanted to read the message that I got a couple weeks ago, but they full on said, that is my purpose until we get this fixed. You're going to be on an island because of the way that you're handling it. Not saying that you're incorrect about what you're saying, but the way that you're handling it,
you're driving divisiveness.
You're the problem. You're not fixing it. Well, everybody else is doing it. I have people saying the same thing to me, that you just said it at Carball. Are you going to be the antidote? Or are you going to be the disease? Hot or cold?
Better. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but that's what I said. Brent has been saying that again in so many different words. I probably said it a couple of times, but that is, that's why we love having these conversations on these podcasts, because this is real life, man. This is not, Brent and I are not getting paid to pick a side on this part. We're not even paid, period. We have to go to work and do this stuff. We don't have advertisers. We don't have sponsors. We do that stuff one day that we might get there, most likely. And we'll align with the people that want to solve the problem, not be the problem. Mm-hmm. And that's what I just feel is like, you and I talk about, it's like, what's our purpose in this? What's our end game in all this? I think our end game with this podcast is so far away that we can't see it. And I think that at times you and I get frustrated about this. What do we do about this? But now, after 92 conversations now, and we've had Mary on the last couple of weeks, is that I think you and I are just so incredibly frustrated because we see an immense amount of people wasting their freaking talent, getting wrapped up in stupid bullshit. I said it finally.
Talent, lives, energy, pick
And it's
something, just propagating negativity.
and it literally drains you and me and probably other people that listen to us because we're like, God, why? It is not like us, you and I standing in the middle of an aisle, stomping our feet, like paying attention to me and like, holy Moses, why are you watching the Kardashians? Why are you paying attention to these memes? Why are you not getting involved with this? You say that you want this movement of positivity and kumbaya and love your neighbor, but in the same sense, you're out there talking ish to somebody else. I'm guilty. I get frustrated. My brother's really good at it, by the way. Kelly is amazing at talking through it and not getting riled. I get riled up sometimes. It's just who I am, but I'm learning and I'm trying to change that process of when I do get pushed in the corner, I feel like I'm being pushed in the corner, which I'm really not. It's the only way that can make me feel like I'm being pushed in the corner is me. But
Nobody puts Blair in a corner.
no, but that's true. But I'm learning again. It's the process, and that's what I'm trying to say is you can look at my past and how I've acted. You could probably see some things that I lose it once in a while, but I'm trying to go ahead and maybe use me an example in your life if you feel that way, like you feel that I have to come out fighting, or maybe you want to come out and say, dude, why do you get so upset? Well, it's it is what it is. And same thing with Brent. I'm sure that there's years ago that Brent was in a process that you try to push him in the corner and he's going to come out and
swinging hard.
You know, what I always call you, the quiet giant, back in the day. So anyway, I think that we made our point. The point of it is I hope that you hear, whoever listens to this message, I hope that you share it with your friends. I hope that you become that example. I hope that if there was a little bit of you that, hey, I don't want to talk about it. If you have some feelings, what Brent said is don't be hot and cold. I mean, pick hot or cold. Don't be neutral. Have discussions. Sometimes they may get a little heated. Sometimes they may not. You may get in a fight. You may not. The point of it is we are all talked about being, but engulfing and letting negativity and being negativity your purpose, we're always going to have this problem. We're always going to let the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the Fox News, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, we're always going to let them win if we continue down this path. And not only that part of it, the negativity is going to keep you sick. We're going to keep taking the antidepressants. We're going to keep paying people millions and billions of dollars to go have help with, psychiatrists and all this stuff is because we picked a lane to stay negative and we don't know how to get out of it. Am I correct in saying that?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any final thoughts?
The reason why we do this, guys, is to get you to think, get you to just stir the pot. We're trying to stir the pot in such a positive way that gets you to make adjustments to how you deliver your message, how you engage with people who might not align with you, and still end up at the end of the day and be friends with them. So that's part of why we say go make a damn difference, because all of those actions will make a difference, if not in their life, at least in yours, and how what you carry, right? Because we talked about what you carry around can either help you or make you sick. So is what you're carrying around beneficial to you, or is it going to make you sick?
Good stuff.
That's all I got.
All right, guys, we really appreciate you. Please leave your comments. Most of all, you haven't done so yet. I had a couple comments the other day. Somebody asked me like, hey, I don't get the notifications from you anymore. At the time when Brent and I first started, I would put this out in a text message and I would send it to everybody. So I'm going to do it one more time. When you're done listening to this show, hit the freaking subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you get it all the time.
That's right.
I got a little testy about that this morning. So I don't know, apologize to my wife, because she's like, God, they asked about your podcast. They never get notifications. I'm like, we're 92 episodes deep. If you haven't subscribed yet already, that's on you. It's a decision that you made. So I'm going to send this out one more time to our friends and our family. When you get to the end of this, as I always say, share the freaking show, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. I don't care if it's Spotify. I don't care if it's YouTube. Do something. But it's up to you to be the difference. Brent always says this, go make a damn difference. It's literally up to you. Not me, not Brent, not all the guests that we've had on the show. You. So go do it. Until we talk to each other next week, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. Take care, guys.